Apter is the chair of Hampshire Police Federation. It's just devastating, the impact on the individual, isn't it, of this situation? And unfortunately, we're not just talking about individuals, are we? Numbers are increasing every year.
Yes, and one of the frustrating things for me and the Police Federation is that we don't really have a true picture of the number of assaults across the country because nobody's been collating the figures, which is why I started the work that I've been doing.
So you want more support for individuals that are injured and the families as well that are often left dealing with difficulties or the loss of a loved one. Where are you going to get that from? Is it from the senior police officers? Is it from the government? Who do you want to provide that support that isn't at the moment?
I think it's far broader than that. The project that I've been working with my Chief Constable on is looking at the data of assaults on officers to make sure that that's ethical and correct, because at the moment it's not across the country. It's about the training that officers have, the equipment they have to protect themselves and the public, but also the support. And it was really frustrating for me because I was finding that many of my officers in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight were being assaulted quite badly, and we were never being told about it, and neither were the senior managers, so we couldn't offer that support to them and put it in place. We've put that in place now, and I'm glad to say that this project is now rolling across the country.
And why would that be then? Is that because officers are sort of thinking to themselves, well, is that part and parcel of my job? I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Is it because they're not necessarily reporting incidents that they maybe see as more minor or things that they would just, you know, soak up in the course of their duty?
I think in part that's correct, because both within the organisation, within policing, and I have to say society, there is a bit of a culture that police officers getting assaulted is just part of the job. I want to change that culture. Policing is dangerous and unpredictable, but the moment we accept being assaulted as part of the job, then that's very dangerous. So it's about changing culture.
What happens at the moment then? I mean, you know, you see the officers who have been attacked, and obviously, you know, there's a huge emotional impact there. Presumably, though, they're not just left to get on with the job, or, you know, there is some support around at the moment. What extra would you like to see that you think would make a big difference?
Well, in many cases, they were just left to their own devices. There was no support being put in place. Not because bosses were ignorant of the fact they'd been assaulted. Very often they didn't know. Now, with the Police Federation, which is the body that represents the rank and file, the senior management colleagues were trying to come together to offer a wraparound service, because very serious assaults where people are very badly injured, generally that wraparound service is there. People who are so-called assaulted to a lesser level, they were often feeling ignored, not only by the police service, but by the judicial system as well. They were calling themselves the second-class victims, which is a terrible way to feel. So we're now trying to build in processes that make sure that our colleagues who, after all, despite the training and the fact they wear a uniform, behind the uniform they're human beings. And the emotion and the effect of an assault on them can play very heavily on the mind and impact on the family. So it's really important that we take this matter seriously, and I'm really pleased that chief officers across the country are embracing this work that we're doing. It's not rocket science, it's really simple stuff. You don't have to do a lot to make a big difference.